What is good, Knicks Nation? It is your boy Richie, and I am joined by my man John because the New York Knicks are on a 2-game winning streak. They get 2 straight dubs at Madison Square Garden, and my man was at the Garden last night. I wish I was there too, but man, we shut down Wemby in his Garden debut. Mitchell Robinson has something to say about it. Isaiah Hartenstein as well. RJ Barrett starting off the season red hot. Julius Randle, is he back? Jalen Brunson and the Nova boys. Ooh, there's a lot to break down, John. Welcome to the show. How you feeling this morning, bro?
Oh man, thanks for having me. There's nothing like talking Knicks the day after an easy W. I mean, it's very rare. We got an easy W. You start off with, Randle and Mitch, like plus 31 from Randle. Unbelievable the last 2 games. Mitch Robinson talking smack back to Wemby, right? I know it was aggregated Knicks fans. I'm with you, but I'm not here for reality. I'm here for Knicks fandom, right? Wemby talking smack. We cut off the quote right before he talked about the good vibes. We cut it right off. We said he talked smack about the Garden. We took it personally as fans. We took it personally. Mitch Robinson definitely did. He made some comments about how he has a strategy for Wemby. He already got embarrassed by KP. He wasn't letting that happen again by that prototype. Came in, 12 boards, 5 offensive rebounds. I mean, what do you want from the guy? He was absolutely killing it. He was doing okay at the free throw line, 2 for 6 for him. Not bad. I know that's bad for bad for normal human beings. 2 for 6 for Mitch, and one of them was even closer. He could have been over 500 there. Whatever. That's neither here nor there. We have Mitch Robinson stepping down Wemby. We have Randle being an absolute beast off a second straight home game. And then I know I'm wearing the Brunson jersey, right? So shout out to Brunson. However, Richie, hand up. This is the confession, right? It's 9 a.m. on Thursday. It's time for confession time. It's time to repent, right? I was frustrated with RJ Barrett last year. Every game I would go to, he'd be 4 for 27. Like, I don't know what to say. I was getting frustrated, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Once we hit the playoffs, he was unbelievable. I mean, RJ was unstoppable in the playoffs. Won us a whole playoff series, including Mitch. And here we are. RJ had an inefficient day yesterday, according to him, and he was 8 for 17 and 5 for 9 from 3. Unbelievable. That's how good he's been. The team goes, as crazy as it sounds, as far as RJ Barrett takes us. I mean, it's a whole new shift in dynamic.
RJ Barrett. Come on, now John's joining the RJ Barrett chance that's been going on throughout these years, even through the highs and lows. And listen, man, John, first of all, RJ Barrett, the one thing he has not shown yet in his career is consistency, right? And that's why you've grown frustrated with him, because he shows spurts of, wow, he could put up 25 a game. And then he shows spurts if he can't hit a layup. So, the frustrations were definitely warranted. And now we're seeing a different RJ. And I'm seeing someone that has completely unlocked a new layer to his game. And it's confidence. It's the ball handling. It's tight. Tacking to the rim. The jump shot is smooth. He just added new layers to his game in the offseason. I think it wasn't even like, usually you see RJ training in the offseason with his trainer. We see cool videos. He's playing for Canada. He has jumpers knee right now. He's fighting through. So it's a wear and tear, but RJ is playing his best basketball, and I want to start it off with him because he deserves the praise. In my opinion, he's playing like the best Knick of the season so far in terms of consistency. Jalen Brunson got his 45 against the Bucks, but he also on Monday night Jalen Brunson's been an interesting player this season. I think he's doing what he needs to do, and I'm expecting Jalen Brunson to be an all-star this season. But RJ Barrett has been something that, as you know me, John, and I've been on RJ since the beginning and defending him like if you call me a RJ truther, whatever you want to call it. But what's your overall take of RJ? Because you see the stats right here. Their numbers don't lie. 23.3 points per game, 47% from the field, 47% from 3. He's shooting a high volume from 3. The jump shot is pure. And folks, if you guys are just tuning into the channel, don't forget to smash that thumbs up button because the New York Knicks are back on a 2-game winning streak. We're back to 500. The vibes are high right now. So folks, don't forget to like the video. We gently appreciate it. Now, getting into RJ Barrett more, John, what's your overall thoughts of him and what really stands out to you and the difference you've seen from RJ this season?
I'm so glad that we're starting off with RJ. I'm so glad that you're the truther, and I'm so glad that I was off the rails. I'm so glad we're here now, man, because what I've seen from RJ is everything that Knicks fans have been clamoring about for years. And we just never got it. And we almost gave up, or I almost gave up, thinking it's just never going to come. And here we are. You mentioned Brunson is going to go to the All-Star game. I think, Richie, it's time to start having the conversation. I mean, it's early, right? It's so early, but you're talking Brunson. I don't know if it's Brunson. I randomly think it's Barrett and Mitch Robinson. I don't think Mitch Robinson can get in because of the center is cluttered. And I don't think RJ Barrett's going to be able to get in because of how cluttered it is. But those are the two players that are going to be moving the Knicks. What do I see from RJ Barrett? I see a guy who's not scared. So we have this weird juxtaposition, right? It's so easy to say 1 + 1 = 2, right? Brunson and Hart played long playoff series. Then they went into the Team USA, and now they came in here and they're tired, and that's why they're not being good, right? 1 + 1 = 2. But then the other side, we have Grimes. We have I can't believe his name is slipping my mind right now. The kid from Oregon, Houston, now he plays on the Rockets, who fights with LeBron. I forgot his name. Anyway, the pest, whatever. Him and RJ played with Team Canada, and look at them now. Like, they are killing it going into the year. So I don't know. 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 with, you play too long and then all of a sudden you suck now. So RJ Barrett is almost, Richie, he's breaking through all the stereotypes, right? He's able to play with the first unit. He's able to play with the second unit still. And I love, I don't care. I don't care what anyone says, Richie. I love the Tibbs rotations. It is killer out there. It's I know it's timed. I know we know exactly at the 4-minute mark is when they're gonna make the sub. I know in the second quarter with 8-minute mark, they're gonna be the news. I know it's annoying. However, when you have RJ Barrett subbing out first and then coming in right off the bench, that's why he's efficient. It's the same formula as a playoff. So as much as I want to say I'm surprised, I'm not surprised. My question back to you, though, I'm gonna ping pong it back to you, is do you think he could sustain this? Right. So we're very happy now, right? We're very happy in the playoffs, and we're very happy now. What are we? 8 games in? So the question for me to you is, we're not even at Christmas yet. Can he sustain this through Christmas? Can he sustain this through the All-Star break? And we know the Knicks post All-Star break are really good. So I'm not even going to ask you post All-Star break. Just get me to the All-Star break. Get me to Christmas and the All-Star break. Do you think RJ can sustain this?
Yeah, and I think that's a good question because, like I said, we haven't every season. RJ's issue is starting off slow and getting better as the season goes on. That's always been his issue, and now we're seeing something different. We never seen RJ start off strong. So the one thing I've always loved about RJ that really made me confident, genuinely, that he's going to figure out is his mental. Like, he is so mentally strong, where like when he does have his ruts, he doesn't get too low. And right now he's on a high and he's not getting too high. I think that the fact that he can keep that even keelness throughout his highs and lows gives me confidence that the consistency can show. And I really think there's still room of improvement for his game. Now, 47% from 3, that's not sustainable, John. I think we can all agree that he's not going to shoot 47% from 3 throughout the season. I mean, his career high was year 2 for 3, and he shot over 40%. But the difference that season was he was just catch and shoot in the corner, right? And then he started doing more dribble pull-ups, some step back threes, which, by the way, he's been doing this season, and I really like it. And he's still shooting 47% from 3. So if you ask me if the efficiency is going to go down, yeah, it's going to go down. The 47% from both the field and three-point land is not sustainable, but the 22 points per game, I think, is, because we've seen a steady growth from him every single season. And the fact that he's kind of finally getting comfortable in his own skin with this team of, okay, another year with Brunson. He knows what Brunson brings to the table. He's been with Randle throughout his entire career with the Knicks. That chemistry is legit. And I think a big superpower that the Knicks have this season is the chemistry with the continuity, right? It's been the same team year in and year out, adding just minor different tweaks, shipping off Obi, adding in Dante DiVincenzo, and this Knicks team is basically the same exact thing that we saw last year going into the semifinals. So I think that has a lot to do with the development of RJ Barrett, him getting really comfortable with Tibbs' system, understanding his role, and I love the rotations too. My favorite part about RJ is how Thibodeau uses him, because he's the first man on the bench, and then he comes in that second quarter and he's running with the bench unit. I love RJ with Josh Hart and IQ and Dante and Hartenstein. That's my favorite RJ Barrett, because he can really take over. He's kind of that number one option, if you will, when he's with that bench unit, whereas in the starters, he doesn't feel like the number one option at times, because Brunson and Randle likes to have the ball in their hands for obvious obvious reasons. So that's really my thoughts of RJ Barrett. Chat, let us know your thoughts and your biggest takeaways from RJ so far this season and in the comment section down below, because he's definitely stepping up and playing his best basketball of the season so far, and I cannot wait to see what he does. Steven says, I just hope it's not just a hot start. They stay consistent throughout the season, and this will be that leap. He is still super young, even though a 5-year vet. He's 23 years old, John, and he's been in the league for 5 years. What the actual heck? How? Carl says, RJ scares me, to be honest. We know what he's capable of, but I've fallen into this trap before with RJ and Randle. A couple of good games, then complete collapse. With that being said, I'm pulling for the kid. Yeah, man, we got to see a little bit more, maybe a couple of months, and like John said, after New Year's to get a really good feel of where RJ's at, but there's no reason to be upset about his game so far this season. Now, I want to transition to Mitchell Robinson versus Wemby, because that was something special. You see, I think Mitchell Robinson, John, is finally getting his national recognition. You notice that? Knicks fans know what Mitch brings. We overhype him because we love him. He's been a steady development. I mean, he's probably one of my favorite development stories with the Knicks franchise in terms of drafting a kid from high school, no college, raw, thin, getting built out, having foul trouble issues, second round, no film of him at all in college because he didn't play in college. You just see this raw athleticism, and he just develops into the monster that he is. Leads the NBA by a large margin in offensive rebounds. And you heard him say before the game, hey, you know what? I think I got a good idea of how I'm going to guard up Wemby. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, Mitchell Robinson's going to guard Wemby. You know, that's like non-Knicks fans saying that. And what does he do on ESPN with the whole world watching? Clamp that guy up, and then he has a little timer at the after the game with the media. What's your thoughts of Mitchell Robinson, not only against Wemby, but his overall development this season and being that defensive anchor for the Knicks?
So listen, again, I'm a realist. I keep it real. Maybe it was me that was also doubting him because I was at the KP game, right? It was just 7 games ago, and I watched what KP could do, and I know that Wemby has the same arsenal, right? Maybe he's just raw. So I was scared that he was going to KP us. Like, you know, in the back of my head, I thought we were going to win the game, right? Vegas helped me out with that. We're 10-point favorites. I was feeling good going into the game. Randle been efficient. You know, RJ been good. IQ has been great. We'll talk about him in a second. So I was nervous. The best part about it, man, is Mitch's confidence, right? So it's not just getting the boards. It's not just setting the screens. It's knowing that he's going to be rewarded. And I know that's dumb, but listen, and I know I don't play professional, but even when you play pickup ball, even when you play, you know, organized basketball, it gives you motivation to get a board, to fight for, you know, the rebound, to maybe, you know, fight a little bit extra for that layup when you're being rewarded, man. And Mitch Robinson was being rewarded yesterday. He had 2 lobs early off the screens. And honestly, like from a casual basketball mind, there were so many screens yesterday, including off-ball screens, and nothing made me happier because that is the worst part of the New York Knicks. We talked about RJ Barrett, right? You mentioned, you know, it's really quick. You mentioned his corner 3. I forgot about that, Rich. He led the league in corner 3-point percentage, so maybe he can be efficient, right? Like, just real quick. So we had RJ who would go ISO, drive us nuts. We have Randle who would go ISO, drive us nuts. And honestly, I'm wearing the Brunson jersey, and I'm sorry to say, but sometimes Brunson going ISO could drive us nuts. Yeah. This team right now, they are moving. Mitch Robinson's screens are amazing. Even RJ, when he gives the ball away, he's setting a screen. When Isaiah Hartenstein gives the ball away, he's setting a screen. Everybody's screen. Randle had a hockey assist yesterday. I mean, they are moving the ball. They are rewarding each other. That's why Mitch can be motivated. It's so frustrating when you're Mitch Robinson and you getting, you know, 8 rebounds and 2 points off a rebound. You need to get 1 pass in the paint. You didn't get 1 lob. It's frustrating, man. He needs 8 points. He needs 10 points just to get those stat sheets going. Now he sees the double-double. I know it's silly, but that's what gets him motivated on defense. My whole thing is, can he guard Embiid? Like, we have to bring it home. We're in the East, right? Like, can he guard Joel Embiid? Like, that's what we're talking about with Mitch. He hooked it up, and he was able to solve the Wemby. Right, we can't solve KP yet. He solved Wemby. Can he solve the scoring centers, Rich? That's really my only worry. Other than that, he's better than Tyson Chandler, and that's all you need. And it kind of we were talking about this a little before, but it kind of transitions me. I need to know from you, because we're Knicks fans and we're always looking for the superstar. The Philadelphia 76ers lost one game so far this year. They're killing it with Maxey, which is their IQ, and Embiid. And we're talking here like, oh, we can't wait to trade for Embiid. My question to you is, do you want a center like Mitch, who is a Tibbs guy, like get rebounds, play defense, run the double? Or do you want a guy like Embiid, who demands the ball in the paint, kind of changes up the spacing, still plays defense, hits the outside three? It's a completely different game. It changes the whole team. Like, what's your take now?
Oh, well, first of all, the obvious is the obvious. Joel Embiid doesn't compare to Mitchell Robinson from a basketball standpoint, just because of how different Joel Embiid is as just a super force in this league. I mean, MVP, and he would add a different layer to the roster. I mean, he would add more firepower, more superpower, and make the Knicks more of a threat in the East. I think a lot of people don't look at the Knicks as a threat in the Eastern Conference, outside looking in. I think they look at the Knicks as like, okay, they can win the first round and get bounced in the second round. I think that's what the notion is, because we're still that superstar away, because that's what the discussion is. And it's unfortunate, because I really do think the Knicks is a star away, unless this Knicks team can really figure it out, gelling, and just be one of those fun teams that I've always dreamt of, just drafting, developing, and having your own young core that we have, and just winning with that. Because you make a good point. Mitchell Robinson's playing at this level. Joel Embiid and the Sixers are like right next to the Boston Celtics right now as the top of the Eastern Conference. And everyone, in the offseason was linking Joel Embiid to the New York Knicks. Oh, James Harden gets shipped out. Joel's going to want out. Well, they can still win without James Harden. So I think it comes down to the trade deadline and where Joel Embiid is at individually, before we even see if that's possible. Because if you do bring in Joel, you trade Mitchell Robinson, you're gonna you might have to package in RJ Randle or quickly. I mean, we're talking about a huge package here. I mean, this is not Mitchell Robinson a pick straight up. This is Mitchell Robinson, Julius, plus an IQ with picks, possibly. I mean, it's a big trade. So listen, I do think that the Knicks are going to strike. I mean, it feels like I'm saying this every year, but they haven't done it yet. But they have all these picks, and they got to use it somewhere, and we shall see if it happens. But chat, let us know in the live chat right now, when it comes to the Joel Embiid rumors, would you feel comfortable going all in for him if he does become available? Now, getting into the next topic, because Julius Randle, is he back? I mean, he started off the season worse than we've ever seen Julius. I mean, I've never seen a worse Julius. Obviously, Julius drives Knicks fans crazy every year. It's not like a weird thing for Knicks fans to be tired and criticizing and telling Julius to get out of the town and booing him and all these things. That's not
so
normal.
Sad. It's so sad.
It's sad. It's terribly sad. But I will say, John, I was very frustrated with him, just from like a point of like, damn, he's really struggling. Like, usually he's putting up his 25, 10, and 5, and people are still complaining. But he wasn't even doing that. But we're seeing that again.
Dude, and
yeah, it's the energy, it's the leadership. Everyone on the team saying he's a leader, but then you watch the games, he's not showing that. So what's your overall thoughts of Julius so far? These past 2 games, it's very small sample size, but the past 2 games, and I thought Alan Hahn had a very interesting interview with him after the Clippers game. On the post game, he said to him, there was a lot of people on social media that was getting around you and trying to pump some optimism and cheering for you. And he asked him, did that have any impact of your bounce back game tonight when he dropped 27 points on the Clippers? And he said, yeah. He said, yeah, the fans helped. Oh, wow. So you're telling me if the fan base gets around your player and cheers for him when they're struggling, it's going to help out in a positive way? Yes, it did. Now, I'm not giving the fans all the credit here, but I love that Julius Randle acknowledged that. So what's your thoughts of Julius so far in the season and how he's been able to stay even keel mentally and now have a bounce back 2 games in a row to help Knicks get this 2-game win streak?
First, I 100% agree with your Randle assessment so far, through these first a couple games. But I want to start with the fans first. It's not the credit part, Rich, but I've been saying this, and I'm the fan, right? I'm the one with the seasons. I'm the one that's at these games, and so it's maybe not the best take. It is a hot take. I think it's our fault sometimes, dude. There were boos yesterday in the Randall introduction. I mean, no one wants to talk about it. You didn't hear it, but I'm telling you, I'm hearing it with my ears. There's boos for Randall in the intros. It's annoying. It's just like when the Jets go on the first third and out, and we're booing the whole team and the quarterback, and then the next time you're like, "Whoa, why aren't you doing amazing?" You're like, "Dude, you just booed me." Like Randall's like, "How I just missed 1 3-pointer. I'm gonna take 3 in the first quarter. Try not to boo me on the first one. Like, just wait it out." He was plus 31 yesterday in 31 minutes. What do you want from the guy? Right? 2 for 6 from 3, not great. But he went 8 for 19. Like, he's fine. Here's the thing, Rich, and I'm not going to be the one to stand up and say, you guys are all crazy for hating on Randall. Like, my man Carlos in the chat right now, I haven't been able to, have any interest in this team until I see major changes. The regular season seems pointless. That feels like it's a shot at Randall, right? That feels like Randall does so good during the season, and then when it's time, he collapses. So we had the opposite with RJ. Stinks during the regular season. Now we know in the playoffs he gets up, right? With Randall, man, at this point, Rich, we know what he is. He's an all-star. He needs the ball. But what's so encouraging and what's so different this year, besides his haircut, is he is passing the ball. Like, yes, and he's not being annoying. Like, okay, he had this little streak in him where he would be Kobe, where when Kobe would take 87 shots and go 13%, right, on 40 points, and then they lose, and the next game they blame him. What does he do? He doesn't shoot one shot. He passes the ball for 3 quarters until they're begging him to shoot, and then he shoots, and like, okay, now you want me to shoot, right? So stop. Like, don't tell me when or not, or unless this is what you're gonna get. And I feel like Randall kind of was doing that the first couple of games, just trying to feel it out. He knows the fan base was a little weird. He changed agents. He knows maybe a trade is imminent. He was just being different. He's just feeling it out, passing the ball. Nova boys. Vincenzo wasn't getting into it really in the beginning. He's coming back now. Now, Randall's getting more comfortable. He's running the point. I know he had a couple of Julius Randle spin move turnovers yesterday. I think I can count 2 off the top of my head. But he's confident and he's willing to pass. But why is he willing to pass, Rich? Why? The question is why. It's because he trusts RJ Barrett now to score points, right, by himself. He trusts Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes with that JJ Redick 3-pointer, dribble once, get open with the step back. It's working. And he's cash money. Like, he trusts him now. It's different. He trusts IQ. IQ is no longer floater or turnover or, step back 3. He's getting in the paint. He's getting to his spots and he's being efficient. And that's what it's all about. It's about Julius Randle trusting his teammates, and I don't blame him for not trusting his teammates, man. We want, Cam Reddish to play 40 minutes. He stinks, even on the Lakers. We want Obi Toppin to play 40 minutes, and we're going to he stinks, dude. He can't get anything going with the Pacers in a team that's made for him, right? So it's usually we want a little bit more than what's really out there. Randle now trusts his team. He's comfortable with himself. He has his own agents. And honestly, I think that this could be the best quote unquote Knicks team than we've seen in the last 2-3 ever since Randall's been here, right?
Yeah, I think
the funniest thing, and I want you to comment on this, is the big bomb from Woj yesterday was, the Knicks are only a second round playoff team. Like, that's the diss now. Like, we're only going to make it to the second round. Like, just last year, it was, are we a playoff team? Now it's, are we going to make it to the Eastern Conference or bust? Like, Eastern Conference Finals or bust? Like, we're in a good spot, man. But what do you like? Do you think Randall could take us to the promised land? Because this is the same team, right? They're just 1 year over. Hart full season now. DiVincenzo's new, but it's really the same team. Randall new haircut, RJ better, IQ on a contract year, but still same team. My question: Do you think this is gonna sustain? Because again, we have another comment. Steven, it's because when it comes to playoff time, he goes ghost. We've seen this movie plenty of times. Like, what are your thoughts, Rich? Do you think what you're seeing is real, or is it, cotton candy? Like, it looks sweet. Well, as soon as you touch it, it disintegrates into air.
Yeah, I mean that's what it comes down to, and that's the biggest problem with Julius that I've come to realize. No matter how good he is in the regular season, it's hard to celebrate it until we see it in the playoffs. Because the reality is, John, if Julius Randle plays in the playoffs like he has in the regular season throughout his Knicks career, yeah, I do think this Knicks team can go far. But that's not been the case, right? He's crumbled. Jalen Brunson and RJ Barrett led the way in the playoffs, and Julius was missing, right? We have the big three, the three lefties, right? And if all we saw last night, I know it's against the Spurs, but we saw last night, if all three of them are playing at the top of their game, this Knicks team is hard to beat. Because not only did they each have 23 plus points each, they all had 5 assists apiece. So they're playing selfless, they're playing carefree, they're playing with one another. They're not playing. I mean, at times there's definitely some ISO ball that drives us crazy, but that's just the reality of the sport of basketball. There's going to be ISO ball, but they are mixed in with some high flashing transition, buckets coming off of turnovers. And what we need to see from Julius, that steal he had on Wemby was really stood out to me, just because like you see him, oh, this is a rookie, I'm gonna go and get the double team and just steal this from him. It just feels like he had that energy. Like I like that play from Randall in particular because it's those gritty type of plays and that high energy type of plays that stands out to me for Julius than his baseline midway fadeaway contested that he can hit here and there. That's like it's impressive those shots because it's tough, but those other types of hustle plays stands out to me the most for a guy like Julius Randle. So it for Woj to say, "Oh, we're only a second round team," I'm like, dude, we haven't been a second round team in a decade since
It,
last year.
that's
Like
what's funny. It's good.
I'll
Thank
take
you.
that.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Like we're it's so funny. You ever see that meme? Where it's like, nice weather on one side, bad weather on one side, and it's the same
Yeah,
record, right? Because like it's so funny. The Jets are 4-4. The Knicks are 4-4. I know it's different
I didn't
sports,
realize that.
but it's just like, hey, like we think the season's over with the Jets, and now we're gonna go to the championship with the Knicks. Like, listen, the next couple of games, Rich, and the best thing about basketball is it really depends on who you play and when, right? So the next couple of games are very important for the New York Knicks. We have the Hornets coming up on a Sunday matinee at home. And then we go back to the Celtics, back to the home opener, back to the division rivals, back to the top of the East. KP again, who missed a game winning / tying shot last night versus the Philadelphia 76ers. And then we're at Trae Young. I mean, the next 3 games, again, very Knicks type games. How often do we lose to the Hornets at matinee on the weekend at home? I mean, I've seen that
Yeah.
story 100 times. We even know that LaMelo, right? Big game for the Knicks. We need to put that game away, and we need to show out versus Boston. We can't have KP do KP things, right? It's another big Mitch game. After the next 2, right? Forget Trae Young for a second. After the next 2, where do you think we'll be as Knicks fans or as a Knicks team? Like, do you think we're going to be in the same spot? Optimism, right? Because it's an up and down season. The one thing I hate is we're so high right now on IQ, on Mitch, on Randall, on RJ. All of a sudden, they have a bad game, versus the Celtics, or a mediocre game versus the Hornets. Now it's let's trade the whole team. It's over.
That's what this fan base is. I mean, and it's the same thing with the Jets, by the way. But no matter what happens, we are quickly to overreact one way or the other. Oh my God, dude! I mean, Julius Randle's 2 games straight. He's back, and then he shits the bed. Get this guy out of my face. Emmanuel quickly puts up a dud off the bench. This guy's overrated. He's not getting extended. Now you see he did what he did last night, 19 points off the bench. Give him his contract. Extension right now.
Yeah, pay him over Brunson.
That's what it's an overreaction fan base, and it's not a negative thing. It's just how passionate we are, right? We overreact one way or the other, and that's why it's my job here on YouTube, but to try to be that middle ground and try to really bring it from, like I fuel my passion, which is my kind of my brand. But there's sometimes, like for example, just tying it into the Jets. Like I watched a film for the Jets game, and I like completely took fandom out of it. And I'm like, okay, I'm not a Zach truther. I'm not a Zach hater. Let's look at this as a film breakdown, right? And that's kind of how I have to look at it. And that's the reality of it. There's always 2 sides, and we're going to be overreaction. So like whatever the Knicks do these next few games, right? Say they go up against the Hornets and they beat the Hornets, but then they fall to the Celtics, right? I mean, that Celtics team drives Knicks fans nuts, right? That's becoming it's a rival forever. And the fact that the Celtics are just so good and we couldn't beat them on opening night in a game where we shot so poorly, we almost actually came out with the W. I think that it comes down to, can the Knicks compete with the top of the East? Because that's really where we're at. And also, we got to get above 500 and stay there. Okay, being at 2-4 was like, what the, right? Okay, we're at 4-4 now. You got to get over 500 and let's stay there. Let's get a little comfortable lead and let's solidify ourselves as one of the top dogs in the East. Because me as a Knicks fan, John, I'm expecting 5th seed. I'm expecting 5th is like the minimum, right? I don't want to get anything less than that.
Who's getting
I
4?
think that,
Cleveland?
well, 5th is like where is the floor.
I want 4.
I want 4.
Yeah,
I want 3. Screw the Sixers. Screw the Bucks. I want 2. But the reality is,
there's 3 teams that are good. There's the Celtics, the Bucks, and the 76ers. After that, it's excuse city. Like, we should be 4th. Those 3, I get it. They're superstars on the teams. Like, what, let's move on from that. But 4, we're better than the Cavs.
Almighty 4th seed.
We're better than the Cavs. I don't want to hear that, it's okay for the Knicks to be 5th, 6th, 7th. No. We are the 4th seed in the East, and anything under is actually disappointment. Like, that's where we should be, not the Woj nonsense. If the Knicks are worse than a 4th seed,
nonsense.
It's worse. It's worse. It's a worse season than last year if we're the 5th seed, and that's just a fact. We have to be the 4th.
I know, and just we got to get into the dance, right? Wherever we are, let's get into the dance and let's see where we're at. King Lowski's in the chat. Let's go Knicks. This is one of my favorite Jets media callers, and he's also a Knicks fan. So shout out to King Lowski, bro. Let's go Knicks. Wardy's in the chat. Let's go, Wardy. Bro, starting to text you, then said to myself, Richie's probably live right now, isn't he? And here we are. Beautiful win. 4-4 to start 2024 while having easily the hardest schedule to start 24. Well, 23-24. We know what you meant, Wardy.
That's
and
a good point.
100%, man.
That's a good point. I didn't think about how hard the Knicks schedule actually has been.
Yeah, it's been a gauntlet. I mean, we haven't really had easy games yet. I mean, besides last night, if you will call it that. But the Spurs are 3-4 heading into that game as well with the hype of Wemby. So
yeah, I mean, we were at Bucks. We got the Clippers at home on the first Harden game. Opened up versus the Celtics. At home versus the Cavs. Pelicans on the road. He's right. It has been a tough schedule. I didn't even think about that, if I'm being honest.
It really is, and they have been able to get to where we're at today with the record, and I'm happy. I'm satisfied with 4-4. You really just get to 4-4, and then what we've seen from this Knicks team under Tom Thibodeau is they get hot. They go on a win streak, and we are on a 2-game win streak right now, so we shall see if that extends or not. But there's going to be a time where we go and win 5, or we go win 7 straight. We won 9 straight at one point. So I think that's really when the Knicks are going to catch their heat and their fire. I don't want to push this all the way into a few months from now, but the Knicks usually play their best basketball come January, February,
after the break.
Especially RJ. RJ, that's where he plays his best. Jalen Brunson last year got better and better and better as the season went on, and I think that's someone else we have to look out for, because if Jalen Brunson does what he does against the Bucks every game, dude, I mean, not every game. He's not dropping 45 on you, but like Brunson reminded the world, like, dude, you giving that guy support, we're going to win a lot, because that was a game when we did not have RJ Barrett. That was a game where Julius Randle was a shell of himself, and Jalen Brunson had no support. And that man, Brunson, put up 45, John. So, like, we need support. And last night was exactly what we saw. You get the big 3 of 23+ each, 5 assists each of Randle, Barrett, and Brunson. This team is hard to beat with Mitchell Robinson being that defensive anchor, with IQ fresh off the bench, Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, Isaiah Hartenstein, who's becoming my dad's favorite Knick. My dad loves Hartenstein. He's like, get this guy. He's almost like loving him more than Mitch. I'm like, Dad, relax, okay? He's great, but he's not better than Mitch. But no, man, it's a fun season so far. It's been a lot of ups, a lot of downs, but hey, what else is new when it comes to these New York Knicks? So, folks, if you're not already, please smash that thumbs up button. Always a pleasure to have John here on the channel to break down our beloved New York Knicks. We're going to be making consistent content here on Knicks Media throughout the rest of the season, so don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Really do help out the channel more than you guys know. John, we're going to wrap things up. Anything else you want to say before we finish things off, and what you got cooking up and what you expect from these next few games coming up?
I mean, real quick, it has to be a W at home at 12 o'clock versus the Hornets. The vibes are immaculate at the Garden right now. We have to go and beat the Celtics. We have to exercise that demon. That's my next two. I want you to keep in mind one quick thing, and ironically has to do with quickly. He's reminding me a little bit of Brunson in Dallas, right? He doesn't have the opportunity. He has someone ahead of him. Once he gets in the game, he does his thing, right? Only in 20 minutes. So you're wondering, can he do it by himself, right? Just like Brunson. And he's on a contract year. He really is, and we better pay him, right? We better, if someone ends up paying him, he's restricted, we better match it. He's really giving me Brunson vibes. So Brunson Mavericks vibes. So keep your eye on that. And the last thing is I'll answer.
That tells me that IQ's going somewhere and going to become an all-star.
No, I mean, well, first of all, Brunson did not become an all-star, but second of all,
yeah,
think about Dallas. Their number one regret is not taking up Brunson, not signing him, but he was unrestricted. It's different, right? So he's restricted, but he's just giving me the vibes. Off the bench, can do everything. If Brunson is struggling a little bit like Luka was, he can come in. They can even play together if they want. Just giving me those vibes. Just something to keep in mind a little bit. But the last thing, I'll answer Steven's question here in the chat. Is Josh Hart in a slump offensively, or is he just doing the dirty work? And what is Tibbs asking him to do? You know, there's one thing about Josh Hart. We talk about how he's a Nova boy, and we love his vibes, and he eats in the post-game press conference when we win in the playoffs, and it's cute, and he's so happy with Brunson. It's all nice. Let's take one step back and think about Josh Hart. The man was a starter in this league for almost a decade. And then he comes to the slumping Knicks and he's relegated to the bench. And the guy in front of him, it was shooting like 25%. I mean, the guy does everything that Tibbs asks him to do. It's insane that he's coming off the bench from his career. He's okay because he got paid. He's like, I don't care. I've got my money. I'll come off the bench. I'll do whatever you need to do. But his whole mantra is to do the dirty work, Steven. It is to get the long rebounds. It is to push the ball. And I'm sorry to say he has to hit those threes. Like, he is what moved us in the playoffs, man. He got
remember that shot he had against, was that Cleveland?
Or was that the Heat game? That shot. It's not going to come all the time. Yesterday, we didn't need it, thankfully. But, you know, like when that ball falls to him or when that ball swings to him, he's got to hit the shot. Like that. He is the dirty work. Get the long boards, move the ball, play defense on probably the small forward / biggest wing on the other team's bench. And you got to hit those threes. If Josh Hart does that, we're going to the semifinals, man. We'll see the Celtics or the
beyond that.
We'll go. We'll just go. Like, you know, we'll just go. Like, let me just get there because there's 3 teams. These are the 3 teams, man. Celtics, Sixers, Bucks. And if you put the Knicks, if you put anybody else between those 3 and the Knicks, you're lying to yourself and you're not giving this team what they deserve. This team needs to be the fourth spot. That's the standard. And anything less than the 4th spot, you can't be under the Hawks. You can't be under the Magic.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm looking at the standings right now. You are so right. I mean, Pacers at 5-3. That's not going to last. Hawks at 4-3. And then the Magic at 4-3. And then we're tied with the Brooklyn Nets, Raptors. The Heat are definitely a team to just you know what? They're going to get in. They're going to get in with the play-in and just make a run. I mean, I hate them. I mean, I literally can't stand
I would love for them to play the Bucks or the Celtics. Or, you know, if you're talking bottom, they're playing one of the top 3. Great.
And they're going to beat them somehow,
good.
John.
Let them fight to the death. Let them fight to the death.
Give me the Heat again. Give me the Heat again. You know, I want revenge. I'm going to Miami again. I went to Miami, and I was there for that Game 3 massacre. You know how much money I spent? Oh, that sucked. We need that revenge. Come on, Jimmy. We're coming for you. But, folks, that's going to wrap it up, man. Thank you, John, as always, bringing your awesome Knicks enthusiasm and wisdom. We appreciate you. And shout out to everybody tuning in the chat. Don't forget to smash those buttons. Really helps out the channel. And expect more Knicks content on the channel. We'll get John on here next week, I'm sure. And let's freaking go Knicks, baby. Go New York, go New York, go. Let's not get too high. Let's not get too low. And let's enjoy the rest of the Knicks season, baby. Peace out, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your night. Later.